Right. Let me tell you a statement. Where there's a will, there's a way. And all of us have heard it multiple times during the course of our life. Today on Jay's Talks, I have an impersonation of this very old but fantastically intense statement. India's first Transman private pilot. Please welcome Adam Harry. So you were born in one of the most beautiful states in the country.
I'm feeling proud and happy because I made it. Because when I was in India, I was unable to express my gender identity because we had a lot of stigmas.
You are the first trans man, a private pilot holder in India.
Actually, people celebrate this first tags.
Yes.
All these 4 doctors rejected me just because.
So you went to all 4 of them.
Yes.
Okay.
Everybody rejected me, and I was forced to hide my identity. Federal Aviation Administration, they are the first one to implement a guideline for transgender people. Have a separate column for transgenders in DGCA forms.
Okay.
But unfortunately, we cannot use that form.
You cannot use it. In general, if a trans person walks into a hospital, how far do you think the hospital is friendly? How difficult it is to actually live as a different person?
Being that we are trans and we want to come out, and it's like, oh my god, I'm so happy. Like, actually, I have a different dream. I wanted to become a bush pilot. We have a huge number of dropping out rates just because of the bullying. And people treat us like walking, talking dictionaries.
Okay. There's nothing to correct. It is how you're born. This is how you are. It's all about acceptance. How do you feel now?
No, I'm super happy.
So how far do you think that people in the aviation industry are supportive? So you were born in one of the most beautiful states in the country, from a very normal family, right? But when you look at it now, you've gone way ahead from where you were like maybe 5 or 6 years back. So when you turn back, how do you see that?
It was quite a hard journey for me, as I was born in an Orthodox Muslim family. But right now, I'm so happy that I'm feeling proud and happy because I made it. It was as I born in a small village, the dream of becoming a pilot was more distant than a boy from a village could have imagined.
Okay.
But
but you made it.
Paulo Coelho said, the entire world. This world stood with me.
We met at IM, Indian Air Force, Bangalore. So I had this very solid memory in my mind because I have actually seen your interviews and seen your presence in media before, but for some reason I couldn't spot you like, hey, this is you. I was actually looking at you, I was giving some glances, but I couldn't really figure out where exactly how I found you, and finally we met, right? Yeah, that was actually a very looked upon moment for me because I've seen a lot of people, a lot of pilots, but at the same time, there are some special people whom we meet in between, and you're definitely one of those, right? So you went to South Africa. That was definitely one of the happiest moments, I believe, because South Africa gave you a platform for expressing more of yourself than India. So I think the very first day, second day you flew, unexpectedly.
Yeah, the very first day for an introductory flight in October, right?
So usually we know that we are going to fly, we'll be told ahead of time. So we have that anxiety from a day or two. But in your case, you didn't even have much time to anticipate. So how was that?
I was super excited to fly when I went to South Africa, but I didn't expect that I will be flying in the very first day I arrived in South Africa. So I was super happy, and I was floating without any weight inside my mind. Especially because I got a platform where I could express my real identity, my true identity. Because when I was in India, I was unable to express my gender identity because we had a lot of stigmas and taboos about gender identity. So when I went to South Africa, I got enough courage and freedom to express my identity, and I was in a space where I really loved. I feel like I feel sky is the place where I belong and where I get enough freedom to express my emotions.
Yeah, so you felt more weightless both physically and mentally. Your brain was also very light. Even when I flew, but we knew we were flying like at least 2 or 3 or 4 days before. But even then, that first flight is always memorable. In your case, you had all these heaviness carried all the way to South Africa, and then releasing all those into the air is like definitely not. I can understand that awesome feeling. And how was your first solo? Did you feel the cockpit more lighter, more quieter?
Like the weather was a bit bad when I went for my first solo, but I really enjoyed it. I took a video of my solo and I uploaded it in YouTube, and I was super happy when I did my first solo. And I was just 17 at that time.
Okay.
So, and also I was having a lesser weight when for my first.
You were lighter.
And it was quite hard for me to land, and and I still remember one of my instructors put some oil cans in the aircraft.
And I think you've put on weight now, much more than that. Yeah. I think it's more of happiness as well coming into picture that you become more heavier, right? So I know you're definitely much more happy than before, especially after that the transformation surgery which you had. So. As I've heard before, you telling that even the scar which you have right now is a symbol of revolution, and you're definitely happy about it. Amazing, because it was not very easy to actually get through all the hurdles, and in your case, the hurdles were not simple. It was not a normal thing, and to get here, perseverance is definitely something which is huge. You had multiple problems in front of you. In different forms, different shapes and sizes, and I'm really happy that you kind of get through all those things. When people complain about very little things, you have actually managed to conquer bigger things, right? I believe that achieving something through struggle is more valuable and more worthy, right? So let me ask you, so you went to South Africa, yes, you had all these happy moments, and you became a private pilot, right? You can now just carry people, not for money, but still you can carry them for recreation and stuff. You have a license, and then you came back to India. You are the first Transman private pilot holder in India. How do you look at the space available in India for trans people, or anyone from the LGBT community as such?
Actually, people celebrate this first tags. Even media, industries, everybody celebrate this so-called first tags. But the journey to get this, being a first man to come into aviation, especially when we express our gender identity, is really hard, because India doesn't have a particular guideline for transgender people in aviation. So when I applied for my class 2 medical, I was rejected from several medical persons who privately undergo this test, who have this, in Kerala we have 4 doctors who do this class 2 medical test. All these 4 doctors rejected me just because.
So you went to all 4 of them?
Yes. Everybody rejected me, and I even tried to contact many of the doctors from different states as well, but they were not sure about the laws and guidelines of DGCA, and then we wrote a letter to Director General of Civil Aviation with the help of Kerala government. They said I can undergo the medical, but only from IAM. Then I went for my first class 2 medical in IAM. For the rest of the people who are not trans can do their test privately, especially class 2 medical tests. But for me it was a special case, so then I went to IAM for class 2 medical test. Like without any clinical indication that endangers any aviation safety, they denied my medical just because of my gender identity. They were literally harassing me and teasing me for my sexuality, gender identity. I was disappointed, but I didn't give up on my dreams. I worked really hard to get that medical cleared, and finally then I got the medical cleared, but I was forced to hide my identity when I got that class 2 medical. They were forcing me to hide my identity. Then I thought of why should I hide my identity for my career? I want both my identity and career at the same time. So I decided to undergo my surgery. They were not letting me to do any of the gender transition and surgeries. as they don't have any particular guidelines in India. So I had some other guidelines from different countries. I submitted all of those guidelines which are trans friendly, queer friendly, but they were not ready to accept those guidelines, and they shared that they will take 5+ years to implement such a guideline, and I cannot.
Before which they should actually consider your case, right? Kerala is actually a LGBT friendly kind of a state now, but even then I can imagine the kind of hardships you're facing. And the hardest part, what I understand from you, is there is no proper pathway, no proper guidance in India as to how to deal with these kind of conditions. What about ICAO? Do you have anything relatable?
I think ICAO doesn't have proper guidelines for transgender people. They have such some problematic courts within ICAO laws. But Federal Aviation Administration, they are the first one to implement guidelines for transgender people. And there is an organization called National Gay Pilot Association, which is an international organization which was started in Florida, and I am a member of NGPA now at the moment. And I have requested help from the organization last month, and I am hopefully waiting for their reply. And also they are providing scholarships and funds for the people who belongs to LGBTQ community, and cishet people can also apply for this scholarship. They are having a lot of tie-ups with different airlines like Delta.
So who can actually pick you up after your training and stuff? They're okay to do that?
Yes.
All right. But do we still have on papers? Do we have a place where you can check that you're trans? In DGCA documents, do you have any space there?
In India, the funny thing is that in India we have a separate column for transgenders in DGCA forms. But unfortunately, we cannot use that form.
You cannot use it.
We have guidelines for transgender people, but we have a separate gender column for to tick in, to mark our gender. We have a transgender column in DGCA forms for applying computer number.
But you cannot use it. It is just there on papers. So I think medical is one of those things which you would actually ask your fellow mates, trans people who really want to come up into aviation. I think medical could be a hurdle at the moment, right? Which they can definitely look into. It's not going to be an easy journey.
Not just for trans people who are in who wanted to become a pilot, but there are trans people in India who work as air traffic controllers. And I know one of my friend, Myra Bandaliga, who is working in Mumbai airport as an air traffic controller. She was also made unfit for a year for disclosing her identity, and she was even not allowed to use toilets in her office, in her workplace. So imagine the trauma that she's been going through.
And I know that you're up for a fight with the court. At least even if you're trying to pursue it from South Africa, you're still no plans to leave it completely in India for other people to take care. You're trying to kind of fight it. So coming from your family, a normal family, I know that right from the moment of coming out to them, all the way up to dealing with DGCA, I don't think it was a very smooth journey. Even though it was exciting and challenging, it was not super easy for you, right? I think medical itself took a major part of your time, if I'm not wrong, to get through it. But I know state government has actually, even though it is part of central government, the state government has actually helped you out and have sent you multiple times to Delhi, and they've tried their maximum to kind of get you through this. So tell me one thing about the medical conditions in our country. Forget about in the pilot training. In general, if a trans person walks in a hospital, how far do you think the hospital is friendly? The doctors, the equipments?
This is a major problem which trans community is facing right now. Even though India is hailed as a transgender friendly country, we have Transgender People's Protection Right Act, which was passed in 2019, and it denies all the discrimination within medical, educational and employment sector, and yet we are denied even basic medical services from both public and government hospitals. They are even afraid to check our pulse when we disclose our identity. They are not ready to treat us. Many hospitals, even in Kerala, many hospitals still practices correction and conversion therapies to change one's gender. When they disclose their identity, these people treat them like they are having some mental illness or mental
condition. Okay.
Yes,
okay.
And they will try to correct it through by giving some unwanted treatment like hormone therapies and other problematic like.
Do you think it's going to help?
It's a person's gender identity. Like
there's nothing to help actually in that. He's not in trouble actually. He is actually being himself. Right. So one question which I ask, don't you think a lot many people out there, like the trans people, LGBTQ community, who are forced to kind of live inside a different body, or at least in, for example, a gay person who is actually forced to get married, and then just to show up on a society and with his parents, and he's forced to that. And how do you think, since you have actually been through both the scenarios, you are there with your family, and then you came out, and you came out as what you want. So probably you should be able to help me out with this. That how difficult it is to actually live as a different person, like live not in the way you want. How it's a mental struggle than a physical struggle, right? And that is huge. So how do you think? What do you have to say about
that? Especially for trans people and homosexual people like lesbians and gay. For the people who are female sex assigned at birth, like Transman and lesbians, they face more struggles than the other people because of the stereotypes that we have in our society. So when we are born in a female body, we have a lot of barriers and obstacles in front of me. So it is very difficult for us to disclose our identity because of these lot of stereotypes in our country, like especially in Kerala we have a lot of stereotypes saying that girls should be like this, a boy should be like this. When we break these barriers, when we break these stereotypes, we will face a lot of bullying.
You are not normal if you break it. You have some issues, that's what I say.
We will be treated like normal people, and people in Kerala call it unnatural.
Yeah, exactly. Unnatural, right time. But don't you think that you're amazing then? Because you've come all the way so far. You've broken everything. You have, I don't know, it's quite amazing. You have so much of courage which you need to kind of talk to your parents about this. And you have to leave your house at some point of time, I know. And then you had to go to South Africa. You had to take a loan, and you were already having trouble financially. You went there. You took a private pilot license, which is definitely amazing. So the courage part of you is definitely appreciable. And so, as I said, I'm looking at the people who want to follow your path.
Now I'm really happy that some of the people who are trainee pilots who are studying in India texted me saying that we are trans and we want to come out. And I was like, oh my god, I'm so happy. Like actually opened a path to many of the people who are still closeted within the aviation industry. There are a lot of people. We say that all people are cis. No, we cannot say that.
Yeah.
I think most of them are really afraid to come out and express their gender identity just because of this. I think they might be scared because of losing their career just because of their identity. So they are hiding. Most of them are hiding their identity because of these problems that we are facing in India. So I'm so happy that many people are trying to disclose their identity, and they are they are working on it. They asked me how to challenge these guidelines rules in court. So I think in future definitely we'll work on it, and we'll make this door open for everyone who
the aviation community has to stay together because we know our problems. It would be much better if the people in the aviation industry can actually come together and really work for it. And changes can be brought. It's nothing that we cannot do it. But definitely, isn't it amazing, Adam? Because you are actually being a light. We are lighting too many candles now. And I really hope it comes out and glory is all on the other side of the game. So as you said, there are people back in the closet struggling to kind of come forward. And now I think, especially in the newer generation, I think it's much more open, but still society coming back to parents and it's still a bit of a trouble, right? So let's come to the flying part, which is again the happier part of it. You had this whole intense passion to become a pilot. You liked more cars and you liked more aircrafts than dolls and puppets and stuffs, right? So what inspired you to become a pilot?
Actually, when I was a child, my dad gifted me a fighter plane. Ever since I dreamed of nothing but the idea of being in a cockpit. So it was my childhood dream to become a pilot, but I didn't know that. I was not sure because my parents didn't have that financial capability to send me for higher education, especially when it is a expensive and luxury course for me. But I managed to get an education loan from with the help of my parents, and that's how I went to South Africa to pursue my private pilot training.
Skyhawk, right?
And yes, at Skyhawk Aviation. And later, now I got to know that the Kerala government is supporting many aviators financially. For the people who belong to scheduled caste, scheduled tribes, they are getting scholarship. They are actually the government is covering full of their course training, the cost of commercial pilot.
Even if it is happening abroad?
I'm not sure about that, but if they are pursuing the CPL in state
owned flying schools.
Rajiv Gandhi Academy.
Okay, alright.
They are.
How old were you when you got that fighter jet?
I was young. I was 5 years old.
You're 5 years old, and you have that passion all the way intact from 5 years old. And you're going to say, what is your aim? You are aiming to be in the cockpit with the commercial pilot license? You want to fly for an airline, or you want to become a flight instructor?
Actually, I have a different dream. I wanted to become a bush pilot. I wanted to fly in Congo.
Oh, low level terrain is. Oh, that's kind of more hands-on flying. You like excitement. So are you happy with flying in rough weather and stuff? So you have that nerve where you love to fly through turbulence and stuff?
I love flying in tough weather because it makes us more, stronger. When
you get connected to the aircraft much more.
A lot of experience.
Yeah? Yes, and I can read from your face thoroughly. What about his name, Adam Harry? So I know that you have changed the name as well.
Actually, we trans people have this benefit, like we can choose our name by ourselves. So I had this chance to choose my name by myself. I thought of naming me Adam just because Adam is the first man in the earth. Then I'm a Potterhead, a huge Harry Potter fan, so I named Harry after it. So
you had friends back then, South Africa. Did you have Indians with you?
Yes, I had many Indian students, and many of them were from Kerala. I'm still in touch with them.
So how did you feel the difference of when you expressed yourself in South Africa? Did you find more room, more space, air to breathe there than in India?
Yes, of course. Back in 2016, the case of Kerala was worst. The space for transgender people were not here. Like everybody migrated from Kerala and they settled in different states like Tamil Nadu, Karnataka, and we didn't have much visibility in Kerala at that time. So when I went to South Africa was quite friendly country, and I was nobody judged me for the clothes that I wear, and so they were not judgmental. Except the people from India, they judged me and they made fun of it.
But
when it comes to other students, they didn't really care about my gender identity.
Exactly, they don't really bother about that. Just picking up on those lines you just told me, even with Indian students, you were kind of bullied, if I'm not wrong, right? You were talked about, right? And you must have faced that in India as well, because you did all your schooling in Kerala, so you grew up in a mixed school, I believe, and therefore for that reason, or even in your higher secondary classes, when we grow up and we have that mental space to think about all this, you must have faced bullying from your friends as well. So don't you think that it's more appropriate, it's high time that we introduce all these sensitization trainings, especially gender sensitization trainings in the school level itself?
Students, especially transgender students, need constant representation, and then only they can come out of these stigmas. And we have Kerala has a lot of policies and welfare programs for transgender students. They are providing scholarship for transgender students to pursue higher education. And they have 2% of reservation in all colleges for transgender students. But yet we have a huge number of dropping out rates just because of the bullying and
mental tension
harassment that they are facing from the colleges and they're from their educational institutes.
Okay.
So we need a proper internal complaint committee to report bullying and these gender harassment cases, and we need a proper curriculum about like comprehensive sexuality education to be included in the curriculum from the very primary classes, and teachers should be ready to teach these
Exactly. That's a very valid point. That's true, because even I remember certain topics are always considered as a self-study topics, and then they don't concentrate much. I don't know, but for some reason they hesitate to even discuss it openly. Even I think in family we should probably be discussing it openly around a table.
Family is the first bully for the kid.
Exactly.
And
it might be an opportunity for them to kind of come out. Hey, I can talk to my dad and mom. They probably wouldn't end up suppressing the whole feeling and living a huge part of their life, and then ending up getting wrong information probably from wrong sources and end up in trouble, right? But I believe that you take classes, you kind of create the awareness. You're a Tedx Talker as well. So how do you see yourself there on the platform when you talk to them?
Actually, I feel very so happy, and like many of them doesn't even know the basic terminologies about communities.
Okay.
And people treat us like walking, talking dictionaries or encyclopedias most of the time, and we get a chance to talk about LGBTQIA plus community. But I suggest these heterosexual people just to do some basic research in Google. Everything is available in Google, so it is easy to search the basic terminologies about queer people. And it is also good to speak to a queer person rather than speaking to a cishet man about the community, so that we can share about our personal experience and the journey that we have gone through. So that's good to let people know more about queer people, and to improve the trans visibility in our society.
Visibility, yes, that is definitely. So I think talking to people is one of the best ways than trying to reach out from somewhere. Basically, there's nothing to correct. It is how you're born. This is how you are. It's all about acceptance. Before the surgery which you actually had to use binders and kind of used to tie it tight. Did you suffocate? Were you finding it? But I think your happiness kind of overpowered the suffocation even while wearing that. How did you feel about it?
Actually, for me, I started using binders since I was 17, and it was very uncomfortable for me because for 12-13 hours I have to wear these binders, and whenever I get out of the house, I'll have to wear these binders, and it's very painful to wear those cried bandages on our chest tightly throughout a day, and it was it suffocated me. But when I look at the mirror, I feel very comfortable, and I could see myself. So
in the way you want, right?
Yeah.
How do you feel now?
Now I'm super happy, and I can feel myself.
Okay.
Yeah.
Happiness, positivity will definitely take you way further than what you actually think, because I'm very amazed by the fact that you went way long to actually get what you want in terms of your career, in terms of your lifestyle. It's amazing. That is why I told you have lighted a lot of candles. It is actually an inspiration for a lot of people, because it's not very easy. It's not even easy to talk about this to a normal friend, because you might even lose friendship. You might have gone through that, and you know what I'm trying to say. In India especially, at the moment we don't have much of a space. Is the medical the biggest hurdle for a trans person?
For trans people, medical is the biggest hurdle, and then filing documents. We might face some complications while submitting all our documents, because some of them might not change. Like when we undergo the transition, before undergoing transition, we did a guideline. Then only we could change our documents. If we undergo the transition, then we can change all the documents into the gender that we wanted. Then only we can submit all these documents to DGCA. Otherwise, we will be stuck in between, and we cannot do anything.
Oh, you'll be practically helpless there. So the whole idea is initially to make it legal and have some kind of a document written down where you can actually have this gender change possible, especially after. So you had problems with surgery as well. They have told you not to kind of do it, and then, but eventually you went all the way forward. So how was the surgery? How did that go? How did you approach the hospital? Do you recommend that to everyone?
Yeah, if this surgery, double mastectomy, was a minor surgery, and I didn't had much severe complications or anything.
Okay.
I was fine after 2 days, and I started lifting weights after 2 weeks. Then I was completely alright. And this is a minor surgery. We don't have to bother much about our body or physical condition.
Okay.
This is just like a liposuction.
So everything was approachable. The doctor was approachable.
Yes. Doctors were very transparently and they were helpful. And I shared about my concerns about the scars, so they made they made me more confident, and I feel so happy about it.
But I love the way you kind of put that scar into a happiness mode, because it's kind of an indication, as you said, of a revolution, a huge change which you have made. So kind of a follow-up. So what all doctors do you have available for the surgery? Do you just have a surgeon, or do you require like psychiatrist, anyone else as well accompanying?
Actually, this is a long procedure. First, we have to get proper counseling from a psychiatrist before undergoing surgery. And after 6 months, then we can start hormone therapies. Then after 2 or 3 months of hormone replacement therapies, we can undergo surgery. Like mastectomy. Some people may choose different surgery methods. Like there are some people may choose keyhole surgery. Some people may have these scars when they undergo mastectomy. And there are different steps for transition. Female to male people is different, for male to female people.
It's different, but generally talking about medical standards are there for surgery and all. That's not an issue. Only when it comes to DGCA and the DGCA medicals, we have a bit of a problem. So how far do you think that people in the aviation industry are supportive? The people, the big shots in the industry, we have veteran captains. Have you tried contacting any of them, or have you tried talking to them about this?
I have raised this issue in the Ministry of Social Justice Department. And they have promised me that they will make changes. That may take some time. I hope it will change. For the time being, I'm trying to apply for another scholarship to travel to South Africa. There are a lot of students who wanted to pursue aviation and facing a lot of financial difficulties in their journey, and also we have a lot of difficulties when it comes to job. But for those people who still wanted to become a pilot or wanted to become an air traffic controller and still face a lot of financial difficulty, I have this thing in my mind, if you really want to become a pilot, just search for scholarship opportunities. There are a lot of different opportunities available around the world. So try to get those scholarships and go and chase your dreams. Nothing can stop you if you really have this dream inside you. Break all these barriers and shackles in front of you. And go chase your dreams. That's what I have.
Right, so as I have rightly introduced you, you are an impersonation of the statement, where there's a will, there's a way. So it's all about striving forward, it's all about perseverance and how long you hold up. The right effort put in the right direction, we believe that there's nothing that is not conquerable. I really hope and really pray to God that you reach your goal on time, and I get to see you flying up big jets there real soon. Thank you so much for joining, Adam.
Thank you.
See you next time. Right.